back into open session. Next on the agenda is the CAO's report with regard to the RFP for redevelopment Beach Area 1 lands. So Mr. CAO, I will pass it over to you.
Thank you, Worship. Members of Council, I have a few words I want to speak about the RFP process. The Downtown Master Plan, including the beachfront area, was approved in 2017 and identified several steps that need to be undertaken for the successful implementation of the plan. The plan recommended using a request for expressions of interest, an RFEOI, to developer builders that would be interested in purchasing property at the beachfront and building structures in keeping with the vision for the beach area. The RFEOI was issued in 2019, and in October of that year, Council approved a shortlist of 6 developers that would move to the request for proposal phase. These developers are to be granted the exclusive right to participate in the request for proposal phase of this project. The developers selected are Slate Asset Management LP, Fram Building Group, Connex Inc., 75 Years Inc., Posig Construction, and Baycliff Communities. It was known in 2017 that prior to any development occurring in the beachfront area, an environmental assessment of Beach Drive and other roads in the area, along with other background studies, would be required. This is a normal part of preparing lands for development. In 2019, Tatum Engineering was selected to undertake the environmental assessment along with a number of other studies, including the master parking study that Council received earlier as part of Coordinated Committee. The studies completed will be incorporated in the RFP document as well as the background information. The environmental site assessment is nearing completion and is posted for public comment. As soon as it is finalized, it will be added to the information available to the proponents. The preparation of the request for proposals document started in July of 2020. So that it would coincide with the completion of the environmental assessment and other background studies. To assist the town in drafting the RFP, Deloitte was engaged. Deloitte has been working with the Director of Planning and Economic Initiatives, the Director of Public Works, Mayor Byfolchi, and myself in preparing the RFP document. The preparation of the RFP and the accompanying development agreement has been a rigorous process leading to a detailed document. Deloitte has been invaluable, drawing on their experience in dealing with similar processes. The town solicitor has also been involved, reviewing both documents in detail and providing comments to the team and Deloitte. During the preparation of the documents, representatives from Deloitte attended meetings of Council on 2 occasions to seek input on certain aspects. Deloitte held a workshop with Council on the RFP scoring criteria to be used to rank the submissions and provided an overview of the document. At one of the meetings, members of Council expressed interest in being involved in the evaluation process. A change has been made to the RFP to include members of Council in that process. As part of the evaluation process, proponents will now be required to make a presentation to Council, and Council will score the presentation based on set criteria. Members of Council will also be asked to provide a question each that will be provided to their proponents anonymously, along with 3 additional questions from the evaluation team prior to their presentation. At another meeting, staff provided an overview of the Downtown Master Plan as it pertains to the beachfront. Official plan policies, design guidelines, zoning provisions, and Council's vision for the beachfront were also reviewed. Through those discussions, it was determined at that time that 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Street Road Lounge should be included as part of the lands to be developed, and direction was provided on the configuration of Festival Square. From there, a blocking plan was prepared that outlines 5 blocks that the proponents can make submissions on. Staff had several discussions on the configuration of the 5 development blocks with Festival Square, and work with the town's planning consultants to ensure that the development blocks could accommodate the development envisioned by Council. One change that is being proposed that the 3rd Street Road Allowance be retained as a road allowance to provide access to the beach. This was in the material that was reviewed by Council just earlier in closed session. Direction was also provided to staff to prepare an amendment to the zoning bylaw to provide for consistent zoning across the development area and to prepare an amendment to the official plan to extend the community improvement provisions across the area as well. Staff are working with our planning consultants to prepare the required amendments. The blocking plan and the updated zoning provisions will be used to update the real estate appraisals for the town-owned lands in the area. The RFP document and development agreement are very close to being finalized and were made available for Council's review on a confidential basis this past week. Thank you to those members of Council who took the time to review the documents. The reason for this is to ensure the confidentiality of the documents and ultimately the process. This was done by staff on the advice of Deloitte due to the nature of the competitive process. Key features of the RFP include details about making the submission and details on scoring of the proposals. Some of the requirements include outline of development experience, financial ability to take on the project, how the proposed project fits in with the vision of Council and the timing of the development, public realm improvements, community benefits, project parking and parking integration, and pricing to purchase the lands. Included with the RFP is a development agreement that the developer will require to enter into with the town for the parcel or parcels they are selected to develop. A purchase and sale agreement developed by the town solicitor specific to the beachfront area will also be included. Confidentiality and fairness are paramount in this process. Council is embarking on a process that will lead to commercial transactions with private companies. It is imperative that all involved maintain strict confidentiality and not discuss any matters with any of the proponents. To ensure fairness in the evaluation process, it is proposed that a fairness monitor be engaged. This is common in these types of transactions. This individual will attend the evaluation team meetings where the proposals are scored and the closed session where the council presentations are made to ensure that the process is fair. Deloitte has recommended an experienced fairness monitor that has worked with them on other projects and lives locally. The cost for this service is $5,000. In closing, I just want to speak about the next steps, and subject to council approval, staff and Deloitte will finalize the request for proposal document and will start to populate the online portal with supporting documents. We plan to make the RFP available to proponents in good standing tomorrow, November 13th, with a submission deadline of February 26, 2021. We're aiming to bring forward recommendations for the selection of the preferred proponents on April 30th, 2021. Complete negotiations with the preferred proponents by June 25th, 2021. And, approval of proponents and projects by middle of July 2021. Subject to council approval, the RFP document, along with the development agreement for the redevelopment of the beach area, will be finalized for release to the shortlisted proponents in good standing with the town. Your Worship, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, George, and I appreciate the recap. I think there was a lot of misunderstandings in the community as to what needed to happen before development could occur down there. There was thoughts that it would start long ago, and I think we followed the proper process, and I'm going to repeat again the importance of integrity and fairness in this process. It is a big project for our community, and those two things are really important, I know, to all members of council. So I'm quite happy with how we've gotten to where we are today, and that we've kept those things in mind. If I can have a mover and seconder, I'll read the motion and then I can open it up. Councillor Watson, Deputy Mayor Bray. The council approved the release of the request for proposals document and development agreement substantively in the same form as provided to council for review, and further, that council approved the process to evaluate submissions, which consists of a technical review by the evaluation team and presentations to council by each proponent with support from Deloitte. And further, that council authorized the Chief Administrative Officer to engage a fairness monitor to be present during the evaluation team technical review of submissions and at the council presentations and provide a report to council.
First, I hope everyone everyone on council agrees that this is the most significant and probably the most expensive, although not all in the municipality, project that will ever be undertaken by Wasaga Beach, and certainly will be the most significant one undertaken to date. And through that process, I believe council should be more involved, not less involved. When I heard, and I'm a sworn member of council, as are all of you. We deal with a lot of very sensitive information. I was quite surprised when I was told that I had to come to town hall to view the document. With very little information, I arrived and found a binder that was about an inch thick. Spent a couple hours here. I was allowed to take some bullet point notes, but they had to be reviewed before I left to make sure that there was nothing deemed to be confidential, which there was not. But the point is, I don't believe that that is within our proper process and procedure. I don't believe that anyone other than council has the authority to make that decision. And and even in your comments, it indicated to me that there was at least one and maybe two members of council that didn't come in to review the documentation based on your wording, which would indicate to me that maybe the process was inconvenient. And we are sworn to confidentiality, and there's legal ramifications. And I was disappointed in that part of the process. For the most part, I support what we're doing. I thought the documentation was very comprehensive, but there is a component there. When we say that the developer is going to present to council, and each council member is allowed one question submitted in advance, I won't support that. In fact, I will try to legally challenge that, because that is not the kind of input that we would expect from council members on the most significant project that we've ever undertaken. If there are questions, concerns, clarification, we're entitled to that. And I also indicated on a number of occasions that in the evaluation meetings, although we cannot be active participants, I think we should be able to attend and observe, and that's certainly how we've done it in the past on the same project. And again, I think that's extremely important. I want to talk to some of the points that I did discuss with the CAO, because I think they're valid and important for the community, our residents to know. And I got some, for the most part, I got some good answers. One was, I asked if we would be doing an updated appraisal on town-owned lands on the beachfront. The answer was yes, there will be, which is good. I said, will all the studies that we've completed be included in that assessment, because that increases the value of the land, and our expectation as a town should be that we not only get the value of the land, but we get the value of the studies that we paid for, that normally a developer would be responsible for. So that was good. I would like a report that indicates how much money the town has spent on those collective reports, so that we do have an understanding that that should be over and above the land appraisal. I also asked the CAO that Deloitte, through his presentations, and we've spoken very highly of Deloitte through this meeting and in previous meetings, had indicated that their preference was one developer, and they certainly indicated that they hoped that there wouldn't be more than two. I asked the CAO if the town had established kind of the maximum, 2 or 3 developers, and they said at this point we had not. But clearly the consultant indicated that the more that are involved, the more complex it becomes. I asked about the hydro We talked a little bit about the zoning changes, but the CEO addressed that already. Just a question, when we said a maximum of 5,000 for the fairness coordinator, I don't know how these meetings go or all the meetings they would attend, but I hope there's some flexibility there. I'm kind of envisioning that there's going to be quite a few meetings with developers and then through presentations that maybe the $5,000 is a little low, so maybe there should be a little bit of flexibility that if that turned into $10,000 just because of the volume of meetings, that we would be certainly willing to do that. And I think that for the most part, that's all. I thought just in the next steps, some of the dates versus what we went through previously when a project of this magnitude, that the back and forth between our lawyers and the lawyers of the developer, that seemed in the past to be quite a timely, cumbersome thing. So when I looked at the timelines, but the RFP did speak to a fair bit of flexibility in that, so that satisfied my next steps. That's it. Those are my comments.
All right, thank you, and thank you for recapping those questions. I think they were good questions and good